Well, bakers, your day just got a whole lot better because you're about to learn how to make insanely fluffy mashed potato rolls. And I'm going to give you my 5 top tips for making bread rolls at home. They're so easy. And once you know how to do them, you're going to make the best rolls this holiday season. The mashed potato is our secret ingredient, which makes them really soft. It's just a few basic bread ingredients. And our first one, of course, is just leftover mashed potato. You have it from your dinner. You can even buy good quality in the store. I have this because I love mashed potato, obviously. But I will tell you, if you're going to buy it in the store, just make sure it's made from potatoes and not potato flakes. You want the real deal here. So that's going to go into our stand mixer. Now, the reason I love this recipe is because it's leftover mashed potato. It's not like just steamed potatoes or, cooked potatoes like you see in other recipes. This can just be mashed potatoes with butter, cream, milk, your salt and your pepper, everything in there already, which makes it so much easier. So now my first tip, for my bread rolls, I don't do 100% water. I do half and half milk and water. I'll tell you why. It adds extra fat and it enriches the dough. So it gives you that buttery kind of a bread rather than like a kind of more of savory white bread, The melted butter, same deal. More moisture, more fat, more flavor. So my next tip for making the best bread rolls at home is make sure your dough is enriched with eggs. We use eggs a lot in brioches and challah doughs and things like that, but we don't use them often in bread rolls, and it really does make a difference. We have our beater on here. We're just going to mix these all together until it's blended. I like to start this with my flat beater, what they call a K beater, they used to call it that, until it's combined. Bread rolls are a big part of the holidays. I know we have turkey and all our sides and everything like that, ham, but every year the most popular recipe on my website is actually dinner rolls for this time of year. People go crazy for them. It's just a lovely accompaniment to add to the rest of your meal, especially when they're homemade, fresh from the oven, still warm. Okay, that's mixed. Our next ingredient and my next tip is flour. What kind of flour should you use for making bread rolls? The answer is all-purpose plain flour. That is what you want for making bread rolls. When you get that roll that just kind of disappears in your mouth, that's because of the all-purpose flour. If you use a strong flour, a bread flour that has around 13% protein, it'll make your roll chewy, and that's not what you want from a bread roll. So that's our flour. Then into this goes a little bit of sugar because that feeds our yeast. Saying that, next is our yeast, instant yeast. If you are using active yeast, I'll put a note on the website about that. But I like to use instant yeast because it just goes straight in with the other ingredients. And then, of course, our salt. I'm always generous with the salt in bread because it really does need it. Now let's just knead this until it comes together and around a medium speed. Because this is a big dough, it's going to take around 8 to 10 minutes to knead. You can try doing this dough by hand. It will just be a little bit harder, but it's not impossible. Okay, so that's been a few minutes. My dough has kind of firmed up. Just so you know, I want you to see this. This is a soft dough because of the mashed potatoes. So don't worry about the texture. Often I say a dough has to come together to form a ball, and that is the case for most doughs, but not this one. Oh my gosh, look how lovely it is. I love enriched doughs because they have this color between the mashed potato and the butter and the eggs. It's a nice kind of golden color. So that is our dough. I'm just going to pop it into a bowl now that I have greased with a little bit of oil. Okay, lovely. So now we are going to do our first proof. So we are going to cover it in cling wrap, like so. Put a tea towel over it for extra snugness. And then we're going to proof this dough for an hour and a half, roughly. A dough like this that's a bit on the heavier side can be quite sluggish. So you're not going to see it like double in size. It will proof and it will rise, but it's not going to be huge. So just an FYI. But just give it that time and it'll be ready to go after that. So it has been an hour and a half and our dough has risen. Look at that. I want you to see how beautiful that is. Lovely. This is such a lovely dough to work with because it's literally as light as air. Okay, I'm going to stop mauling it now because people have to eat this. I have a little bit of flour here for my counter, not too much. And now what we want to do is divvy up our rolls into 12 even portions. If you want to weigh them, your rolls want to be a little bit under 4 ounces each, which gives you lovely big rolls. Now here's my fourth tip about bread rolls. the rolling. Some people find this really hard, and what happens, and I see this every year, is that people can't get a smooth roll. And when you don't get a smooth roll, you end up, it bakes, the creases don't bake out, and it ends up being a little bit knobbly, which is such a shame because everyone's always looking for that like perfectly shaped roll. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to get that perfect shape. We're going to take a piece of dough, kind of fold the rough bits all to the bottom. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our hand and we're going to push the roll into the countertop until you can feel it forming underneath your hands to make the perfect bread roll. As you can see, it is totally smooth, but also flip it over, no seams. And if you have no seams, then it is perfect. When you have the seams, they don't bake out, so you get these creases. So into your pan, it has been oiled, it's 9 by 13, and we are going to do 4 lines of 3. Let me show you again really quickly. Pull everything back, there, flip them over. Into the counter, push it in, swirl it around with this cup in your hand, just like this. And this is, look at that. See the way it's shaping the roll for you? You don't have to do hardly any work. A little bit of pressure on the roll, and what you end up with is a beautifully smooth roll all around and no seam. You guys got this, I know you do. And that makes 12, that's our last one. And just so you know, because it's the holidays and there's a lot of people around, if you want to double this recipe, it is very forgiving and you can do that easily. Cling wrap over the top, a tea towel for extra snugness. So now you want to set these aside to proof at room temperature for another 45 minutes to an hour or so. We want to see them rise up and then also proof into each other, so they're kind of like batch baking when we bake them later. Okay, so it's been a little less than an hour actually. I gave them a little bit longer. But check this out. I want you to, come here to me, Joey. I want you to show everybody what they're supposed to look like. Do you see the way they proofed into each other? You see the way they've risen quite a bit? This is exactly what we're going for. If they're not at this stage, let them proof for longer. Now, here's your tip number 5 when it comes to bread rolls, and this is an important one. When is the right time to bake them off? Are they proofed? Are they not proofed? What am I looking for? I'm going to show you now. Put your finger in one little roll. If your indentation stays there and it doesn't jump back really fast, then it's proofed and ready to go into the oven. If you put your finger in and it pops back really fast, then they need more time to proof, so cover them up and give them another few minutes. But this is exactly what I'm going for. Just when they look like this. If you overproof a bread roll, I will tell you, once it goes into the oven, they can collapse, and you will see that on the bread roll, and it's a bit of a bummer. So, but these right now are looking good to me. So the last thing I'm going to do is gently, because it is a delicate bread roll, gently egg wash them before they go in. And just make sure, take your time with the egg wash. I always am really careful with bread rolls and egg washing, because if you don't get them all over, they can seem kind of dry, and you really want these to be a beautiful golden brown, just like the way you'd see a challah or a brioche, because that's what they're more akin to than anything else. Done with the egg wash? Now let's get them into our preheated oven. Bake your rolls at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius for roughly 25 to 30 minutes until they're lovely golden brown. It's really what you want on top. Our rolls are baked and they look beautiful, and look how shiny and golden brown they are, and they smell so buttery. You'll often hear me say let a loaf of bread cool down before you cut into it, but that does not apply with bread rolls. I would say just dig in and enjoy while they're still hot and steamy, just like these ones. These rolls will be very well received at any get-together this holiday season. Look at that crumb. Do you see how beautiful that dough is on the inside? They look great, they smell great, and just look at how soft they are. They're like airy little pillows. Bold bakers, save this recipe. It's a must for your holiday table. If you're in the mood for more holiday content, then don't go anywhere. I've got hours more holiday videos for you to check out. I'll see you back here again really soon.